Let us explore this Dusk's meditation class and group practice, that we too could meditate like a Jedi. This evening's class is based on the 27th passage of the Unwaning Victory Banner, composed oh so many centuries ago by the great Buddhist reformer Rahe Vajra. Together let us relaxingly recite. Religious practice in the threefold world is just a name and a magical illusion. Even the great place of a universal monarch is a dwelling place conditioned by illusions. What do we mean by a threefold world? Literally, that's a reference to the desire, form, and formless realms. But that would fit neatly under the heading of Buddhist pseudo-spiritual trivia. A simpler way to say it is simply all things, beings, and phenomena. So religious practice here is different than spiritual practice. Religious practice would be ritual, austerities, supplications, bowing, offerings, invocations, and the like. None of which the Buddha taught. That is a influence. That comes from outside influences. In the Hebrew Old Testament, there was a time when allegedly the Israelites said to their prophet, "We want to be like the other nations. Give us a temple so that we can be like the other nations, or give us a king so that we can be like the other nations." Something along those lines. And the grass is always greener on the other side of the fence. And unless you were raised in the 70s, then the grass is always greener over the septic tank. But so it didn't take long for Buddhists to be influenced by other religions that the British put under the umbrella of Hinduism. But that was just a catch-all for the many, 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 many shamanic type of religions found in India. And so that began infecting Buddhism. And it went from being simply the Eightfold Path, simply being practicing awareness and release in a way that nurtured our wisdom and love and ability to go with the flow, to a system of religion. But the author reminds us that's just name and illusion. One of the things we learn in Western philosophy is that a label does not change an object. For instance, if you and I were to go for a walk and we happened upon a steaming pile of doggy doo, and let's say I pulled a 3x5 card out of my pocket, and on it I wrote the word chocolate, and then I gingerly placed it upon the doggy doo. Would that change the doggy doo? No. Would it change the appearance? No. Would it change the scent? No. It would still be doggy doo, only now it's doggy doo with a label. Sadly, not all politicians have learned this lesson. Labels. How are labels like illusions? Well, when you go to a show and we see a stage magician, they create illusions. The illusion of sawing a lady in half. No one in their right mind thinks they are actually sawing a lady in half. Unless, of course, you've seen the second season of Sandman. Everyone knows it's just an illusion. Similarly, and this is where we have to return to the basics for a moment. So let's do that right now. But here's the basic idea, and then I'm going to give you the science behind it. As we relax into our exhalation, whatever perception, emotion, intention, thoughts, memory, or imagining we experienced during our previous inhalation can feel as non-graspable as an illusion. Now, let's take a moment or two to review the basics. There is a lot of confusion surrounding meditation. I found that neuroscience can do a very good job of clearing things up. Every time we inhale, we have evolved to automatically access the sympathetic region of our autonomic nervous system, known as the middle part of our spinal cord. Doing so helps us to notice in a very special way, to notice vulnerably, passively, viscerally, randomly, and fleetingly. But notice what? Notice all manner of phenomena, from the external to the internal, from the physical to the mental, from the pleasurable to the painful, from the interesting to the boring, from the glorious to the grotesque, including, as I mentioned a few moments ago, perceptions, emotions, intentions, cognitions, recollections, and imaginings. On the other hand, every time we exhale, we have evolved to automatically access the parasympathetic facet of our autonomic nervous system. Basically, the tips or the ends of our spinal cord. Kind of like the bookends that keep the books balanced on a shelf. Keeps the books from tipping over. So every time, which has evolved to help us to physically relax and mentally release to such a degree that which we noticed during our previous inhalation could fleetingly feel less stressful, less permanent, and even less defining. Now, if you prefer figurative language, every time we relax into our exhalation, whatever we noticed during our previous inhalation could feel as non-graspable as a vast empty void, like the illusion of the infinite azure sky on a bright and beautiful cloudless morn, which, although could look tantalizing to the eye, feels non-graspable to the hand. And so you have it. Whether we're talking about emptiness, or whether we're talking about not self, these are all just figures of speech to help us to help to describe the experience of relaxing as we exhale. This noticing is known by many names, including mindfulness or sati. This relaxing is known by many names, including meditation or samadhi. The most efficient way to practice these is to silently and mentally recite the one-syllable verb this during each inhalation, and to silently and mentally recite the one-syllable verb, I misspoke, to silently and mentally recite the demonstrative pronoun this during each inhalation, as well as silently and mentally recite the one-syllable verb ease during each exhalation. Now let's return to the opening lesson. Religious practice in the threefold world is just a name and a magical illusion. So threefold world, we consider, as we mentioned, was the desire realm, the form realm, and the formless realm. So as we sit in meditation, sometimes things seem very concrete and tangible, and sometimes things seem the opposite. And so what this is saying is, regardless of the intensity of our experience, whether our experience is very coarse or very subtle, it's still just name and illusion. It's something to notice and then to release in coordination with our inhalation and our exhalation. Even the great place of a universal monarch is a dwelling place conditioned by illusions. So those who are poor often dream of being wealthy. Those who are impotent often dream of having power. And the epitome of power in the mythical world, or according to some metaphysical systems, would be a universal monarch, according to one of the many Hindu philosophical or metaphysical systems. That even a universal monarch, even someone living in an environment that looks like it was painted by Max Feld Parrish, is still subject to perceptions, to noticing and releasing. That the way things seem are not always the way they are. When I was in first or second grade, I thought I was gonna fart, but instead I pooped my pants in the middle of school, to my great, great, great nightmare. So we all and so maybe that specific thing doesn't happen to everybody, but we've all thought things would be really useful only to have them be really, really detrimental. We are wired by evolution to have certain survival instincts, to dread things that are dangerous and to desire things that are beneficial. And those survival instincts can serve us occasionally. But when we live perpetually in a state of being competitive and always striving and straining to shove and reach, to push and pull, that will make us miserable. So while our survival mechanisms are useful occasionally, we have an opposite system that instead of being dopamine oriented is oxytocin oriented, and it rewards for cooperation. There are mechanisms in our central nervous system that have been optimized by evolution for compassion and cooperation. The more we notice and release our anxious and aggressive survival impulses, the happier we will be. The more we hold on to the survival impulses with white knuckle intensity, the more miserable we'll be. Even a universal monarch can perceive things that are beneficial and detrimental. Even a universal monarch or even a president or even a king. We still have kings on this planet. They still are aware that there are pleasures and perils, that there are benefits and that there are dangers. They are still conditioned by illusions. What unifies all of us, regardless of our wealth, regardless of our power or lack thereof. So we are all subject to noticing. We're all wired to release in harmony with our inhalation and our exhalation. And by passively cooperating with our autonomic nervous systems, even as little as 5 minutes once every 12 hours or so, can help us to enjoy greater fulfillment than a real or imagined universal monarch. Having completed our opening lesson, together we could shift gears. It is... Oh gosh, I'm having a senior moment. What was the name of the Star Wars character? Rey! It is Rey Skywalker Sunday evening. Come, let us meditate like a Jedi after approximately 30 seconds of housekeeping. This is the Dzogchen Sunday Lama Jigme Gyatso of the Buddha Joy Meditation School. For more than 30 years, I have harnessed my autistic special interests as well as my ADHD hyperfocus to spend about 8 hours a day, almost every day, studying, practicing, mastering, and reverse engineering the teachings and techniques of each school of meditation so that I can become your personal, nerdy, neurodivergent guide to nirvana. Welcome, my friends, to Meditate Like a Jedi, which is made possible due to the generosity of viewers just like you. For the remainder of this evening's live stream, let's play with the latest iteration of Very Easy Meditation. Both this meditation guide as well as the opening text are available for free download just by playing with the links in the description area below the video. One moment. And efficiently to keep track of our first collection of 144 inhalations is to rest the first knuckle at the base of our right index finger upon the tip of our left index finger, palms up in our lap. Upon the 3 sets of creases on all 4 of our right, on all 4 fingers of our right hand, we could count the next 12 inhalations. Upon the 3 sets of creases of each of our left hand's 4 fingers, we could count 12 sets of 12 inhalations each. we could begin collecting or performing our, let's see, keeping track of our second collection of 144 paralysis inhalations by resting the second knuckle of our right index finger upon the tip of its left index finger, palms up in our lap. You have taken your first step into a much larger world. If you feel that I have earned it, you could give this live stream a thumbs up. You could even help support this channel. In approximately 11 hours, I would very much like to return to lead tomorrow's dawn meditation class and group practice. And if you are as geeky as me, may the Force be with you always.